And welcome back to Sports the NEMO Way. And this week we're here to talk about Bob, Drew's favorite player, Pettit.
That's right. You can buy his jersey. I looked it up. I showed Wade. He thinks they're pretty dope.
They are pretty cool.
Yeah.
They're like the Dominique Wilkins era.
They got Pettit on the back.
They're
Number
pretty cool.
9.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, the 6'9", 205-pound power forward is a one-time champ, two-time MVP, 11-time All-Star, 11-time All-NBA, playing 11 years in the league after being the second overall pick. And he is a Hall of Famer with career averages of 26, 16, and 2 on 43% shooting. And instead of kicking it to the guy that doesn't have him on his list, we're going to kick to the guy that's highest because he's going to have an aneurysm if we don't. Drew, go ahead.
I'm a Bob Pettit super fan. To be honest, guys, when we're sitting here at Christmas and we're talking about the podcast, and I go on TikTok, as you know how I am, we talk about, remember, the best players from each team. Mm-hmm. And the first one was the Hawks. I couldn't even pronounce Pettit. I said, who is this?
Bob Pettit.
Yeah, probably something like that. Just a PT or something like that. Now I'm a fan, so that's just a little background there. Okay, Bob Pettit. Of its 11 All-NBA teams, 10 of them were first team. I'm pretty sure the one second team was his rookie year, so he was All-NBA every year.
I believe you're correct. I have that.
Yeah. 11-time All-Star too. 2-time MVP. He won the very first MVP award. He obviously played against Russell. He was the first player to 20,000 points in NBA history. Let's see here. Turn to the back.
That was a whole page.
Yeah.
His pages are 2 inches long.
Or I'm splitting it up. Okay. For his playoffs, his averages do go down just a little bit. He averaged 25 points per game, 14 rebounds, and 2.7 assists on 41% shooting. So that's his playoff stats. They go down just a little bit, but so no one can say that he faded in the playoffs because he didn't.
I mean, you just said his stats went down. So
they went down 1 in each category.
So technically,
fading. 2 in the rebounds. I'm sorry.
And 2% shooting.
They go up in the finals. They go up in the finals, though. But we'll get to that later when we get to talking about his finals against the Celtics. Now we're gonna toss things to my dad. So what do you think about Bob?
Are we? Okay then. You didn't want me or Alex to talk after talking about the shading?
No, we're going in the backwards order, so he would be next.
Oh, yeah. You do have him the second highest rated.
Okay,
yeah.
so then
Come on,
Ray gets the last word.
By the way, I don't know if we said it. Drew has him at 13 on his list, 13 overall.
Yes.
And Uncle Doug now has him at 18.
Okay. All right. Well, you know me. I'm the numbers guy. So Bob Pettit peaked out at 31.1 points a game in 62. He had his highest rebounding season was 20.3, and his highest assist was 3.7. All time on the scoring list, he's number 45, and his average is 8th all time. On the rebound list, he's number 19, and his rebounding average is 3rd highest all time, as we mentioned in last week's trivia. Assists, he's not top 250 on those. I've never seen Bob Pettit play, but I heard a lot about him from my father, and maybe that's why Drew likes him so much, because Bob played for the St. Louis Hawks, and my dad actually, and I believe my mom too, we lived in St. Louis and actually went to see the Hawks play, and so Dad was pretty fond of Bob Pettit. And he passed that on down to Drew especially. But Bob had some really impressive numbers. That's why he's where he is on my list. But the 2 times MVP, he did NBA champ. And that time period, the late 50s, early 60s, Celtics won an awful lot.
Truth.
Oh, another thing is the Finals MVP did not come out when Bob Pettit was in the Finals, so he would have got the Finals MVP. Just saying. His stats for that series were 29, 17, and half assist, but they won.
Half an assist?
Wow, that's pretty good.
And
Sounds like those stats went down too, Alex.
no, they went up actually, Wade, by 3 and 1.
And
The assist went 2.5, but
Yeah.
he won, so we don't care. He won. And it was a 6-game series. Took the Celtics 6 games.
in Game 6,
Mhm.
he scored 50 points
Yes.
and scored 19 of their last 21.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Say,
nice.
in Game 6, he had 50 and 19 rebounds.
Okay.
So we're talking about Giannis having his 50-point game. Bob Pettit did it like 50 years ago. So
Well, they're the only
get
two
off-
to ever do it, to have a
Yeah.
50-point game in the
Yeah.
finals in a deciding game.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Bob Pettit. Giannis who?
Wow, no, calm down.
Yeah.
Also, Bob Pettit never had a season under 20 points per game and never had a season with 10 rebounds per game less.
All right, well, Uncle Doug, do you have more, by the way?
No, I'm good.
All right, so that falls to me, who has him rated at 29. Still not overly low, but yeah, he's number 8 on my power forward list. I think he's number 2 on Drew's power forward list.
He is.
And where did he fall on yours, Uncle Doug?
I think he's 3 or 4 on mine.
3 or 4 on yours, yes.
Something like that.
I like Bob Pettit. Just a funny little story here. When I used to go over and stay with Grandpa, so the same person you were talking about earlier.
Right.
Yeah, it's your dad, my grandpa. Was I used to go stay with him sometimes, and we would play this game where we would try and create the greatest basketball team ever, not just by like the best player at each position, but like how they would play together. And like we would like argue over like who would play this position, who would play this position. Grandpa just refused to let me put anybody at power forward other than Bob Pettit.
I told you.
He was just like,
There's a reason why.
yeah, he's just like, no, it's Bob Pettit. Like, it's Bob Pettit.
Well,
Yeah.
no reason why. I'd let you put Tim Duncan ahead of Bob Pettit. Other than that, no.
I was gonna say you put Timmy D ahead of him.
He
So,
is.
Yeah.
Tim Duncan's the best power forward of all time.
As far as impressive things go with Bob Pettit, including regular season and playoffs, only missed 8 games in his career.
So I'm talking about. That's good shit.
That's impressive, man. That's impressive. And another guy like Paul Arizin, so see a theme here.
Pick out the best players.
Retired because he got offered a job at a bank. And he said it was too good of a job to pass up.
Say he retired when he was 32, so.
Yeah, he retired earlier. I mean, he only played 792
He
games.
played 11 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, not ridiculously early, but earlier than a lot of guys we talk about. Just because a bank in his home was a Baton Rouge, his hometown.
Yeah, he went to LSU.
Yeah, bank in Baton Rouge offered him a manager's position, so he left the NBA to go make more money. So, Drew finds these guys that leave the NBA to go make money.
But they're really good when they're here.
And I'm also the pace adjusting guy. Bob Pettit is another guy that the site I've been visiting for pace adjustments has been done.
Can I guess before you say it?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to go with 23 and 9.
Fairly close. 25, 10, and 2.
Okay, so he's still.
Which is almost exactly the same as Karl Malone. So I think. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't sound so crazy now that everyone hears that. Everyone's like, ooh, why is Bob Pettit ahead of Karl Malone? Well, look at it. Even if when we adjust the pace, he's still right there. And he has. Does Karl Malone have 2 MVPs or just 1?
He has 2. He won.
Okay, so they both
Yeah.
have 2, but Pettit's got championship, finals MVP. Well, not finals MVP, but he would have if. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, Alex.
Yeah, so very similar numbers when adjusted for pace to Karl Malone. And yeah, that's my opening statement on Bob Pettit. So that will kick us to Wade, who has Bob Pettit ranked 47th.
Nice spot.
Thank you. Lost my voice for a second. Sorry. I mean, I feel like most everything's already been said. He's on my list because of how good and dominant he was back in the day. got MVPs and championships and all the stuff we always talk about. Blah blah blah. When Alex, did the whole adjusting for pace, the rebounds got normalized a little bit, but it was still the 50s and 60s. So, nah, I'm not really feeling it. I watched Bob Pettit play on YouTube a few different times, and it's a little up in the air. He has a nice actual short to mid-range jumper.
He does.
That was impressive. So I would watch him and I'd be like, oh, that's nice. That's a really nice shot. That translates. And then I'd watch him do something. And I'm like, that being the third row. So I don't know. I kind of have a similar stance on him as I do John Havlicek. They were obviously phenomenal when they played. They could probably play in other eras. I'm just very up in the air on how good they would be. I have them 2 spots apart on my overall list, I believe.
Yeah, I think you have John at 45.
Yeah, I have Havlicek at 45 and Pettit at 47. So, very similar opinions. And I'll leave it at that for right now.
All right. Which leads us to our last member here who left him off his list. Surprise, surprise.
All right, so 2-time scoring champ, NBA champ, 2-time MVP, Rookie of the Year, 26, 16, and 3. So I looked at game film, and I looked at the tape, and I guess I just don't see the magic, which is Bob Pettit. His stats say otherwise, but I don't know. I got to give him his props for his achievements, but I couldn't go with Bob Pettit. But let me read off my power forwards list, and each one of you choose one to take off and tell me why. I have Rodman, Sean Kemp, McHale, Hayes, Barkley, Karl Malone, Dirk Nowitzki, Garnett, Duncan, and Charles Oakley.
You said you want us to take one of those off.
Take one off and tell me why you would take one off.
Oakley, I don't even have to think about it.
But it'd be Oakley or Kemp, because they're not even Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
That'd be mine.
Yeah,
I was going to say, they're not in a Hall of Famer.
Because Oakley's averages are 9 and 9, 9.7, 9.2.
Uncle Doug, you just got a whole notebook full of stats written over
does.
there. Yep. How'd you know Oakley was coming up today?
Because I wrote down the bottom 3 power forwards on Ray's list.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So I'd be ready for the comparison.
Now, would you put Bob Pettit in that spot?
I mean, he's in somebody's spot on my list, so yep. I could probably.
He is
Okay.
my number 10. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's my number 8. So.
Well, I'm trying to think. Did you leave someone else off that I have on mine?
No, I'm just asking because it's going to segue into something else here. If you
Him or Anthony Davis, pop up on there.
Okay. Anthony Davis or Pettit. Well, there's a recent champion here that I'm going to go into. His name is Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Very recent, as in yesterday.
Yeah, very recent. He is a one-time champ, one-time final MVP, defensive player of the year, 2 times NBA MVP, most improved player of the year. His current season was 28, 11, and 5. His career is 29 and 4. I think I would probably put Giannis in that spot if y'all want to take Oakley out, only because he has a better skill set. You know why he gets the nod? Because he don't pull that super team bullshit like everybody else. He worked his fucking ass off to get where he was. And y'all can be like either on the bandwagon or not, but I'm on this Giannis bandwagon.
I don't have anything against Giannis.
Okay.
No, I like Giannis.
No, I was
Giannis is
But-
cool, but talking about Bob Pettit, bro.
Yeah. But
he's not. He didn't have a super team. He beat the super team.
that's right. But that would be my pick over Bob Pettit, would be Giannis. So that's my little argument, I guess.
Well,
And he's 20, what is he, 20, 26, 8
Yes.
years in the league. So they kind of compare similarly. So I guess that's kind of why I went that route. Even though, I mean, it's kind of recent, but they kind of compare similar stats in that regard.
Giannis made no lists So there's nobody to go to on that. But I think Giannis's case got tremendously more interesting yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh boy, made these lists. He had no championship, one less All NBA, one less All Star appearance, and had choked in the playoffs 2 years in a row.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I think that had a lot to do with
This-
it.
And did he have his defensive player of the year when we made
he
these
got it
lists?
last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, it was last
So-
year. He was defensive player.
And I kind of felt the same way when he come out. What was it, game 1? And it was like, oh man, you just got to come out the game because he's just it's too hyped right now, and he's not. He's kind of anxiety attacked. And then he come in 3 minutes later and it's like, why the hell did you come out the game? What is going on?
Well,
Giannis?
he said he had to pee. Is what he said in the
No,
interview
he was-
after the game.
Well, he was on the sideline though, pacing back and forth like he had an anxiety attack about it's too hype for he's getting too hype. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And now we're just pulling bitch moves here. And I'm like, okay. But then he came back in, and then we got game 5, 6, 4, 5, and 6, and Giannis just dominated.
Well, I mean,
And I'm
he scored 40 in games 2 and 3.
Yeah.
40 apiece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you put 50 in game 6, and it's just like, I got to throw him in this conversation right now.
I don't have a problem with Giannis being in the conversation. I think Giannis is a guy we're going to have to look at the end of this.
Yep. I think so too.
But for me, adding Giannis to my list wouldn't take Pettit off my
No,
list.
mine either.
He's my number 10.
I would, I mean, if I were to remove somebody, it'd be like, my 9 or 10 guy, and Pettit's 8. So I wouldn't remove him to add Giannis. And I think there's a handful of people I would remove from your power forward list, I think, too. But
No, I figured that.
I think we-
I
I
just
think-
wanted one. I just want one.
So we could take Sean Kemp off and put.
Hey,
Pettit
now,
on.
now we're talking crazy.
Well, I mean, Bob Pettit is my number 10. So if I put Giannis on, it would remove Bob Pettit.
Yeah.
so I have a question for Drew.
Oh boy, here we go.
Do you believe Bob Pettit could play in the other eras of basketball?
Another eras of basketball. At 6'9", I think he could, and with a little bit of a jump shot. Now, I'm not saying he's averaging 26 and 10 or 25 and 10 if you adjust it to now. I'm not saying he does that, but I think, yes, he could play in other eras of basketball. I don't think he's one of these guys who's just stuck there and he can't come out.
But if
Fair.
he can't dominate in other eras, then how does he compare? How does he beat everybody but Duncan? Like Carmelo is second on my list, and like for example, like Carmelo is built like Ray Lewis, and he's
True.
built like Justin Tucker. Like I think
Feel
the,
like
the
Justin
mailman would
Tucker.
plow through him
That's
in
the
3
kicker.
seconds. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember Justin. Yep, for the yep.
I mean, I will say this. It did take me off guard when it said 6'9", 205.
Yeah.
I was like, 205?
I weigh 210.
I was gonna say that 205, man. That's
Now, don't get me wrong. We've made fun of some of these weights before, so I'm
Yeah.
not going to go out and be like, this is exactly right. But 205 is real light.
Mm-hmm. Especially for a 6'9" guy.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Here's my thoughts. If he grew up today and developed a post game, which he didn't seem to have, is he? I guess the comparison that came to my mind was Carlos Boozer.
Oh, yeah.
Boozer was good for a while.
Yeah, I mean, he's not top 50, but I mean he was a good player.
Yeah.
You may have seen. I don't know how much of Boozer's career you saw.
I saw
when
more
he played for
towards
the
the-
Lakers, he sucked. That was the very end of his
He
career.
was an all-star with the Jazz.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
also with I think with the Bulls too.
Maybe.
Yeah, he was decent with the Bulls.
Yeah, I
but
think he has got a couple
Utah
All-Star
was
games.
him
Him and
Wow.
Darren Williams are both all-stars with the Jazz.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just pretty much ran the exact same system Stockton Malone ran with Darren Williams and Chris
Yeah.
Boozer, and they were pretty good for each other for a while.
And Boozer had a really nice mid-range jump shot,
Yeah.
kind of like Pettit, and then could muscle his way down low. But
Right, and that was kind of my thing. The mid-range jump shot, the feel for some of the passing, because Pettit did seem to be a pretty good passer for a big man. Not undersized, but not big. I mean, a 6'9" is not huge for a power forward. The other thing is He didn't seem to be overly athletic, which Boozer wasn't overly athletic. I saw a quote from Tommy Heinsohn where he called him the half-inch man, which came across really hilarious to me. But he was talking about his vertical, not his anything else.
Okay.
Yeah. And I kept coming across very similar quotes from other players. You know, Bill Russell, Jerry West, Oscar Robertson, all guys from that era. And they all just talked about how Bob Pettit out-hustled everybody. That was their compliment. He out-hustled guys. I do believe Bill Russell said in a quote that second chance was put into the basketball vocabulary because of Bob Pettit. Talking about his rebounding. A lot of things I've seen, or if not all things I've seen, seem to center around his hustle and his heart and his playing hard and just outworking guys. And I struggle with that.
Okay.
Not that I'm saying he didn't do those things. I'm just saying, like, I don't know, maybe part of it's like PTSD-ish for me. Like, that's the type of stuff I grew up hearing about things. Like, you know, defensive tackles from the 60s that weighed 220 pounds could play today because they have more heart than other people. Well, if you weigh 100 pounds less than a guy, I don't give a shit how much heart you got.
You can be as mean as you want. I'm going to plow right through you.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe it brings up some of that stuff that I just can't wrap my head around. But,
Yeah.
like, if my biggest compliment to you as a player is, man, you hustled a lot, I feel like I can't find great things to say about you.
Yeah.
I mean, true. I mean, not everything's a Rudy movie.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
I get what you're saying. I'm trying to word it differently. It's a good quality to have.
Oh, 100%.
But-
I'm not trying to say I wouldn't want guys that are the opposite.
Yeah.
They don't try hard. Like, I don't want that
Right.
guy.
But like, yeah, to translate to other eras, you want, you know, phenomenal shooting. Like, you know, West is shooting way out there, not just 10 feet away. You want great athleticism or, you know, things of that nature. Phenomenal defense like Russell. Yeah, I don't know. But something that pops up in my head is he might get stuck being a tweener in later eras. He might have the height of a power forward, but not the strength, but not the quickness of a small forward, and not the height of a center. So that stuck in my head for later eras.
He'd almost have to be like a small forward, most like a Scottie Pippen-ish.
But I mean, if he's not overly athletic, like Alex was saying,
Yeah.
they're just gonna run right past you on small forward.
Well, I thought about this, though,
don't-
too. If he played actually today, like in the most extreme version of basketball we're talking about, or the threes and everything like that, he was a very, very reliable 18-foot jump shooter.
Yeah.
So they probably would have stretched him and been like, you're going
Right.
to stand out here. But you don't move well. You don't jump well. So you're probably, I mean, I would assume he's not a shot blocker, but there's no blocks during this time,
Yeah.
so we don't know that. So I was, like, looking at guys, and I'm not trying to make a joke here, but, like, Matt Bonner, Brian Scalabrine, Danielle Marshall, guys that are 6'9", maybe a little weaker physically.
with tweenerish bodies.
Yeah, tweenerish bodies. They shoot threes, and they try and hide them on defense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, those are the guys that I thought about when I thought about this.
What about Dantley? I mean, I know he's a little shorter, but he didn't play defense.
I mean, he didn't play defense, but he could pretty much score whenever he wanted on whoever he wanted. That was the thing with Dantley. You said Dantley, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Dantley wasn't good on defense. You're right about that.
So
but
Pettit not, he can't score that quickly, or
I mean, I don't think we were pretty much saying he can shoot a mid-range J for sure.
right?
Probably would learn to come out farther, but he'd probably just have to be a spot-up shooter as a big guy in today's NBA.
I mean, that was my opinion. I'm
And
not
they would-
stating it as fact.
In
That was
today's
my thoughts.
NBA, they would just put him in a pick and roll and run right past him.
What about the quickness? He don't have quickness.
Doesn't seem like it.
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
That's the problem with some of these older guys. You don't know
Yeah.
Yeah.
because of who they're
Yeah.
playing against and with. And, I mean, I understand what you're saying. We're always trying to translate guys forward. if we're going to do that, shouldn't we also give them the same advantages that guys today have?
Yeah,
I mean, back then, they probably wouldn't have had all the youth basketball. They wouldn't have been in the gym working out. They wouldn't have been exercising, done all that stuff. Whereas if he was playing today at 6'9", they would have been working with him from the time he was younger.
true.
That's true.
So
Oh,
he
yeah,
would have
very
been more
true.
physically advanced.
Yeah.
If he came up a little later. Yeah.
So, I mean, we've had this discussion before, and it's
Yeah.
really tough
It's a tricky
So
conversation.
to translate.
without trying to be political here, how many 6'8" to 7 foot white guys do we pump out of college every year that just flop in the NBA and we never see them again?
I mean,
Yeah.
there's a good percentage, to be totally honest.
Tyler
I mean-
Hansborough sticks out to
Hey,
me.
Tyler Hansborough was
Hey now, hey.
Tyler
now.
Hansborough, who I liked in college a lot. I never thought he was going to be a good NBA player just because of how he played. But Tyler Hansborough could stick his elbow in the rim.
Yeah.
Tyler Hansborough could jump out the gym. Really, he has a couple of really really crazy dunks on his highlight package. But they ran him out the league because he couldn't shoot.
Well, I mean, he could shoot.
I mean,
just-
he couldn't
would-
shoot from deep. I mean, he couldn't be a stretch.
And he was
Right,
a
yeah.
hustle player. Like
yes,
this
he
guy.
was a hustle
Yeah.
player.
He was
yes.
a
Known
good
for his
solid
hustle.
player for 4 years, and then it's just like we're transitioning to let's just hit threes every other possession, and then we can't do nothing with him,
Yeah.
and that's where we are
Hansborough
with
might end up
Hansborough.
being a decent comparison.
Now
He's
that
known
we've
for his
said it, yes, Hansborough does
hustle.
sound. He's a hustle guy. He's
Similar height,
Yeah, similar height.
build. Hansborough might have been a little more athletic, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah.
And
he
he
jumped
could
more
hit,
than a half inch.
and he could hit that elbow jumper. I mean, he
I'm
wasn't
sure
clutch or nothing, but he could score if he
He
wanted
did.
to.
He,
He,
had,
scored
he, had,
20.
he had a nice 15-foot jump shot.
He could
Yeah.
hit 20
And
points a game if he wanted.
that was Pettit's bread and butter, was that little jumper.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well, Drew, we've talked a lot about your guy without you getting a lot to say back to us. Do you want to interject here before we get too
Well,
far?
we're going to talk about probably the other side of the ball here for a minute. When was the all defensive teams come out again? I always forget when they.
I said it during the Havlicek episode, but I don't remember.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
It was in the 60s somewhere,
Yeah, it was in
but
the
I don't
60s
remember
and
where.
he retires.
He played until 65, and Havlicek and West both played, in the early 60s?
They played into the 70s.
But they started in the early 60s,
Right,
right?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think if Havlicek started making all defensive teams at the first part of his career, because he has like
West
8 of
had
them.
5 in his career, so I'm wondering.
Yeah, I remember my Havlicek stat was he played 6 years before all defense came in.
Okay,
so
so
then
then no.
I was gonna
Pettit,
say, I wonder how good Bob Pettit, because obviously we don't have defense player of the year, steals, block. We don't really have anything, so we really don't know how. You know what I'm saying? And if you're talking about his hustle and stuff, maybe he was hustling on the other end of the floor, like playing defense and stuff. Like just, I'm not saying a lockdown defender, just being like a little pest, like
yeah.
and like those second chance stuff we've talked about before and all that stuff, creating opportunities. See if he could have had all defense teams. We just don't know.
I did read somewhere about his offensive rebounding being tremendous.
Which again is something they didn't keep track of. So, yes, I read that multiple places that his offensive rebounding was tremendous, but they don't differentiate in rebounds in that time.
It just
it's just rebounds.
Yeah, total rebounds.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
11, what was it, 13.8, 16, and then we got a peak at like 20.3.
He's one of 3 players all time to have a 2020 season.
Oh, it's about rebound.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I just remember reading specifically offensively, he was a great rebounder. That was one of his bread and butter.
Yeah.
Hey, this is what I'll say, Drew. I don't dislike Bob Pettit. Obviously, he made my list.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason he made my list is because he got that championship. If you take, like we talked, I don't want to necessarily play that game again, but we just talked about taking championships away the other day.
Yeah.
Like, if Bob Pettit lost his championship, he'd leave my list.
I think kind of like what Uncle Doug said, winning it in that era is kind of makes it a little more impressive, because that era was dominated by maybe the greatest team
So he
ever,
went to-
the most dominant team ever.
He went to 4 championships and he won 1 and lost the other 3.
Well, everyone did that in that era except the Celtics.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
So I looked at it. Bob Pettit, in the year he won the championship, what year was that? Sorry.
58, I believe.
58, I think you're right, 58. Played with 3 other Hall of Famers. Slater Martin, and I can't remember the other two guys' names. But yes, he played with 3 other Hall of Famers, one of which was an ex-Celtic who won like 4 championships with the Celtics before he started playing with Bob Pettit. Cliff Hagan.
Okay.
Cliff Hagan.
I've heard that
Slater
name.
Martin, and I can't remember. But so then I was like, well, there was 4 Hall of Famers on that team, and that was the year they beat the Celtics in the finals.
Mhm.
So I was like, I wonder how many Hall of Famers were on the Celtics team.
Yeah.
Anybody care to guess?
8. The whole roster.
8.
8. Holy cow.
Well, wasn't that a trivia question?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. 58 is pre most of the guys we know.
Right, yeah.
Because that's pre Casey Jones. That's pre Havlicek.
Yeah.
So you were looking at Russell and Kuzi, the 2 guys
Right.
that Sam Jones was there.
Okay, yeah.
And then Bill Sharman.
Oh, I remember the name. He was,
Yeah, Bill
I
Sharman.
remember Bill Sharman as a coach.
Yeah, he did coach
Later
him
on
but
as
he
a
was
coach.
he was the leading scorer before Russell got there. He was like the guy. Kuzi was the ball handler and he was the scorer.
Oh.
And then Russell got there and they started winning. But then there was like a whole bunch of guys I had no idea who the hell they were. Like these big old long names, and I'm like, I have no idea who this guy is. And it's like no All NBAs, no All Star games. It's like 6 championships, Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Was one of them Jim Luskatoff?
Let's go.
Luskatoff.
Yeah. Again, I know that name because of my dad.
Is he Jewish?
He really did not like
He
him.
sounds like a Russian spy.
Well, he actually, his parents, I think, were Russian.
Ru-
And his nickname was Jungle Jim Luskatoff. And he was the Celtic enforcer.
Oh,
and his
wow.
job was to beat the crap out of everybody else.
All right. See, there you go, Ray. Put him on your list.
Well,
Love
I was
those guys.
actually, I mentioned him to Drew today, so I looked him up. And Luskatoff actually talks smack on Mikhail and Rambis and says, because everybody talked about how those two went at it. He says they wouldn't last at all in his era, that they would have beat the crap out of them.
Well, Jungle Jim Luskatoff, and it literally says that on Basketball Reference, so he's not lying,
Right.
is a 7-time NBA champion. But that's it. He's not a Hall
Right.
of Famer. He's not
Yeah.
an All-Star or anything like that. It looks like his best season was 10-10.
Right, yeah. He only averaged double figures I think one season.
10 points,
He
10
was
knockouts.
6'5", like 230, and his job was to protect the rest of the starters.
That's big back then, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he came out of Oregon, and he was a pretty good ball player, I guess, at Oregon. But Red Auerbach, you want to be a Celtic? This is what you're gonna do.
That's great.
Way to go, Red
ask,
Guardian.
ask Grandpa about him sometime.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Dad'll go off.
Some guy named Andy Phillip.
Who? Him? I don't know.
No S, just Phillip. Frank Ramsey. I actually do know that name.
Yeah, I've heard the name.
Arnie Risen.
Arnie Risen.
Is that Paul's brother? or something?
Classic.
Here we go with Wade.
Classic.
Acting like he knows these players.
Fucking Arnie.
Yeah, I don't know who these guys
yeah, I
are,
don't
and
know.
they're Hall of Famers from the Celtics team.
Wow.
Okay, I know we're a little off what we're talking about. On Bob Pettit's Basketball Reference page, it randomly says relatives, cousin, Frankie Brand. Who the hell is Frankie Brand or Brian, whatever it is?
Where are you seeing this? I'm not.
It's right there on the Basketball
Right
Reference.
below, right below
Below
his
the
birthday.
American flag.
Who is this Frankie
Uh-oh.
man?
Yeah,
I want to
Can
know.
you click on that?
I just did. He's a 2-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA.
Frankie. I know Frankie.
You just said, who in the F is this?
did he play?
It came to me.
He started in 49
Oh, man.
and played through 56.
Okay.
He played for Fort Wayne,
Oh, God.
and I don't know what these other two
Yeah.
abbreviations mean.
Fort Wayne Cowboys and the
This is
Well, the Fort Wayne today
the
is
Tri-City
Masters.
Blackhawks.
Ooh.
Yes, Tri-City Blackhawks. And the other one is the Anderson Packers.
Huh.
yeah, I remember watching them play.
Their arena, you know where they played? The Anderson High School Wigwams Arena. An NBA team played at a high school gym.
That tells you the NBA's come a long way.
Oh my God.
But yeah, he's a two-time All-NBA. Wade, you put some respect on.
Hey, yeah,
Dude, over this Frankie Bryan.
Yeah, those damn Packers, bro.
Them wigwams,
They're
baby.
good.
Yeah, the wigwams.
My God.
Oh wow.
All right, well, that's the question I wanted to know.
Yeah.
God damn.
By the way,
Frankie.
he's got an interesting nickname here, the Bombardier from Baton Rouge.
Okay.
And his other nickname is Big Blue.
My boy Blue.
My boy
Oh, you're my boy Blue.
Oh man.
I love that movie.
So, does anybody know who went ahead of him, number 1 overall?
Probably Frankie.
He played in 49 away.
Oh yeah.
What draft was it? I'll Google it.
I got it already.
Yeah.
Frank Selvey from Furman University.
Furman.
Nope.
No idea.
Don't know that.
Who career averages are 10, 3, and 2.
Ooh.
So I'm going to say that Pettit outplayed him.
Yeah, I think so.
So you want to know another interesting story about Bob Pettit? Bob Pettit, we're talking about the Celtics and Bob Pettit. His career could have majorly been altered because I told you that one of those guys, one of the Hall of Famers that played on his team the year they won the championship, well, he used to be a Celtic.
Mm-hmm.
That's because they traded him there for Bill Russell.
Oh, okay.
The draft rights to Bill Russell. So Bill Russell could have played with Bob Pettit through the 60s.
Oh, yeah. We
Um,
might still have an NBA team in St. Louis.
No.
Yeah, we probably saw the St. Louis Hawks.
But I will also go into another story that it has been said that that trade was purely race-related because the owner of the Hawks didn't want black people on his team. Because then they later brought in a guy, and now I'm trying to remember his name. They just did like a 30 for 30 about him, about how he was on the team and he was supposed to be really, really good, but they wouldn't play him. So he retired and ended his NBA career, but it was all because he was black.
What a shit owner.
Right.
Yeah.
But I guess like they played him the first few games of the season, and he was playing really well, and the owner told the coach, stop playing him. And the next game, the coach still played him, and he fired the coach and hired somebody that would do what he said. I just read a whole big thing on it before I got here.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
I wish I remember the guy's name.
I'm about to watch that.
Well,
30 for
I
30.
shouldn't say it's a 30-30 about him. It was like a 30 for 30 about African Americans in basketball, and it starts with down by him. So
probably starts from the kind of the beginning of it.
Yeah. I can't remember his name. But it's like 2 short little names, I want to think.
Damn.
I'm sure somebody that's listening is like, hey, dumbass, it's this.
Yeah.
Why
Bunch
don't
of
you know
idiots.
that? Well, do we want to do closing statements on all Pettit here?
Sure.
Sure.
Or do you have any more info for us, Drew, before we move on?
Let me make sure I don't have anything else in my 2 pages.
I'll say you were pretty braggadocious about the amount of information you
Dude,
had.
I said a lot of stuff. Well, for his 4 finals, he averaged 28 points, 16 rebounds, and 2 assists. So that's for his 4 finals.
It was how much?
28 points, 16 rebounds, and 2 assists.
Maybe you should have stepped up in the finals. You'd have more championships.
Oh yeah. Step up it. Oh yeah.
Or more rebounds.
And you were just talking about how his owner wasn't getting him any better players.
I mean, he played with 3 Hall of Famers.
Yeah, and he played against 8.
So, yeah, Drew, you want to go with your closing statement?
I wanted to go last. I think I should be the last one.
Oh, you want to be last?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
So, Ray, would you like to give your closing statement
Yeah, I'll
on
go ahead.
Robert E. Lee Pettit Jr.?
Robert E. Lee. Wow, that's pretty racist. But anyway, like I said before, I mean, I just don't see him translating in the modern day power forwards. And if I would put anybody else on my list, it would probably be Giannis over Bob Pettit. I mean, yeah, titles are, awesome and everything, but I don't know. I got to see the skill set before I see the titles, and I see Giannis's skill set over Bob Pettit. So I got to, that's just how my mindset is. I can see the stats, and the stats are awesome and everything else, but I watch basketball like everybody else here, and I see the skill set, and I just got to go with the better player.
All right, that leads us to Wade.
Well, I mean, I put it on my list, at the bottom of my list, just pretty much show some respect to someone that was that dominant. I mean, even for that time period, he was one of the top 3 or 4 players in the entire NBA for a long time, if not maybe the best player for a couple years. And he is one of those few players that we've all talked about that have carried a team to a championship, been the best player on a championship team, which is rare territory. But kind of like I said earlier, he fell down my list because I don't really think he translates to a lot of eras, at least not dominantly. But yeah, pretty simple.
All right, that's me. I feel similarly to what Wade said. I know we have some difference in our ranking. He has him at 10. I have him at 8 on our power forwards list. He's at 47. I'm at 29. But I struggle with the translation, and that's the big thing for me. Earlier I said, his pace adjusted stats were 25 and 10, which were like exactly the same as Malone's. But as it's no secret on this podcast, then I have to dock you for when you played. So he's going to fall down my list. But like I said, his championship is impressive going up against that Celtics team. And, grabbing that victory, he's one of just a couple players to accomplish that during that 13-year run of the Celtics, So it is very impressive. And he was one of the most dominant players of an era of basketball. So
that was one of the things that you said at the beginning when we talked about old guys. You want to see something special, or you have to dominate. I think he did both. I think he did something special with all the stuff he did, and he dominated an era. So that was one of the reasons why I think he deserves. Because I remember you saying that. You said they would have to do something really special or dominate their era. Well, I think he did both.
He just jumped right over me.
I know. I just wanted to say that. I'm sorry. That's
I just give him crap.
I think he falls into a weird spot, to be 100% honest with you, Bob Pettit, because he comes on the tail end of Mikan.
Mm-hmm.
And then before Pettit can start to take over the league, Russell shows up. So it's one of those things of, oh man, if you showed up at a different time, this might have been great for you. Like if he'd have already been in the league at the same time as Mikan, when Mikan retired, maybe Pettit wins 3 or 4 championships before Russell shows up. Maybe. I don't know.
Right,
I'm just saying but he kind of fell in this weird spot, and he started to get his career going, not that he wasn't good right off the bat, but
he's trying to get his team going.
Yeah, trying to get everything
team
go on. People don't come into the league and win their rookie seasons. And then Russell shows up and things change again. So it's kind of a weird spot, but that's what I have to say about Bob Pettit. So Uncle Doug is his turn.
Yeah. Sorry, Drew.
It's all right.
Yeah, I like the accolades that go along with the numbers. That's why I put him where he did. The translation to other eras, again, someday we may just have to have an episode on that and debate some of that stuff, because it's going to keep coming up. We got a bunch more of these guys to talk about, and some of them are pretty high on our list.
So we still have the 2 big names, Wilt and Bill.
So it'll be an interesting discussion.
We also haven't talked about Oscar either.
Right.
Yeah.
Or
Oscar.
Elgin. Maybe not about Elgin.
And that's coming up.
I think is he next?
Elgin's next. Yeah, we'll be
there
talking
we
about
go.
this again next week. So, but anyway, yeah, I liked his numbers. I like the accolades, and but I understand what you're saying.
My turn, finally.
It is Drew's turn. Close us out on old Bob Pettit, Drew.
All right, well, with old Bob, when I first looked down, I was like, wow, he's got a lot more stuff than what I thought he would for playing in this era. I mean, I mean, yeah, one championship. You can say that's not a lot, but I think for that era, for who he played with and all that, I think that's pretty impressive. Like Alex said, I'm not going to keep rambling on about it. He beat the Celtics, and they're dominant 13. Only one other team beat them in their 13, because then they went 11 in 13 years.
Yes, they did.
So, yeah, he was one of 2 teams to do it, and he was the best player on that team. So, like Wade said earlier, he's one of, 34 guys we counted?
Maybe 35 now because Giannis last night.
Yeah, 35. So, yeah, you have that. And then he's got 2 MVPs. He has that, Rookie of the Year, 2 scoring champs. So, and I think with the stats and then with the translation, with his stats translate, but could he translate? Not sure. It'd probably be harder than what. Yeah. Hey, at least the stats translate. It's not like they went to 14-5 or something dumb like that.
I have a quick question before we end Bob Pettit. Who's your number 2 power forward? Wade, you said yours is the mailman, right?
Correct.
I think that's mine.
Is Ray, who's yours?
Give me a second.
Yeah, it's fine. You can take that, Ray.
Well, I know mine over there. Yours is the ones I've been using, so. Power forward. Tim Duncan.
That's
Tim
You have
Duncan
Kevin-
is number 1.
You have Kevin Garnett at 2.
Yeah, Kevin Garnett's 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got Duncan and then Malone.
Malone.
Alberto, you have KG, correct?
I have KG. Yeah. Well, what I was going to say was I thought, Drew, you doing your thing with Pettit was ballsy. It was you took a chance that none of us were going to take. You took an old guy and put him at number 2, while the rest of it, I mean, all of us have Duncan at 1, all 5 of us. So we all are in agreement there. But Mailman showing up there, wouldn't have thought twice about it. Barkley showing up there, wouldn't have thought twice about it. Maybe KG, Dirk. I wouldn't have thought too much about those. When you had Pettit at 2, I was like, oh shit, okay, this is where we're gonna go. So I give you props for that, Drew.
All right, thank you.
That's good.
Finally get some credit on this podcast.
Don't go too far.
So we're just taking chances. Can I put Elton Brand at number 2? Number 42 for the Clippers.
Next week, I want to see 3 pages.
That's right.
That'd be my dad. He's got Elgin ready, don't you, Dad?
I've started.
Yeah.
All right. Is that all you got?
Yep, that's all I got on Bob.
All right. Well, that wraps up the Bob Big Blue Pettit portion of our episode. And that will lead us into trivia.
Can I go first?
Of course you can.
It's a Bob Pettit related question.
All right. Well, if the answer is Bob Pettit, I'm ready.
It's not. Okay, well, Bob Pettit went to college at LSU, correct? Not many people looked at him at basketball. He played another sport there. What did he play?
Frisbee.
That's your answer.
No, it's not. Ugh.
Can you repeat the question?
He went to LSU. He played basketball, but what other sport did he play there?
Okay.
I have a guess.
I got mine.
Yeah, I got one.
Okay.
All
I'm ready.
I put baseball.
I put baseball.
I put baseball.
I put baseball.
He actually played soccer.
Soccer.
He was actually a highly rated soccer player at LSU.
But I guess there wasn't a professional soccer league at that
No.
time, so there was nowhere to really. Unless he wanted
Do
to
you know
go
what
to.
position he played?
No, I'm not sure.
It's 6'9". He should have been a goalie.
I was going to say.
Well,
Stretch out and
Or
protect that
defender
goal.
or something.
Yeah.
All right,
Maybe
no
he's
points
more
there.
athletic than we thought.
Yeah,
I was actually just thinking
I was
that.
I don't want to say that during the episode, but maybe he's got to be at least somewhat athletic to run up and down the soccer field.
I didn't know back then they had college soccer.
That's fair
What
too.
position he plays. but
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
That's kind of the soccer thing drew me off.
All right. Well, who would like to go next?
I guess I'll go.
All right.
It's another college one.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry, I had to just do this quickly. I had Emma's phone for about 3 minutes, and I had to hurry up and look up 2 questions. Where did the wonderfully great top 50 player of all time, Kawhi Leonard, go to college at?
Oh shit! I should know this.
Oh.
They talk about it all the time. Damn it!
I mean, a player as great as Kawhi. I think you remember this, Alex.
Oh, yeah.
You know, probably a top 30, top 20 player of all time.
Top 20 now?
Easy.
Oh,
Where do you have him at on your list?
36, I believe, is where
Oh, I
he's at.
can't wait for this final episode.
By the time we get to the end, he'll probably be 3 or 4. I'm ready.
God.
He's not even going to play by the end of the
Doesn't
We get to that
matter.
episode.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
I got one.
He gets credit
What?
just for having cornrows this many years ago.
Wait, hold up. I thought of the wrong school. Hold up. This. Yep. Nope. It's this. I'm pretty
I
sure.
don't even know. I just guessed a school. I'm going to feel stupid when he says the answer.
All right. I'm
Everybody
ready
got
now.
it? All right.
San Diego State.
Okay.
San Diego State.
I put Fresno State.
San Diego State.
It is San Diego State.
Shit.
Let's go.
I don't know
Everybody
what
but the
I don't know
Alberta.
why I thought of that.
You guys probably guessed where I learned it from.
TikTok.
TikTok.
Oh my God.
Always.
SOS.
All right. Who is next?
I can go.
All right.
We were talking about rebounding because Pettit was up there. We already know who the top 3 rebounders are. Who is the number 1 rebounder at 17 a game in the ABA?
Ooh. Oh, boy.
It's all time in the ABA.
Huh. I'm trying to think of someone who played in the ABA.
I have a guess.
I got to guess.
Purely a guess. Anybody else?
I can't think of anything, so I'm just going to write this down.
I'm just going straight pacer.
Okay.
I put Maurice Lucas.
But Gilmore.
Jackie Moon.
I just put McGinnis.
It is Artis Gilmore.
Woo!
Go Wade.
Dang, wait.
I thought we were actually going to catch up on him tonight.
The only reason I always think of Gilmore is because Uncle Doug always talks about him.
Yeah, we've talked about him several
times. He pops up
times.
in my head when I talk about ABA all the time and how good he was when he came out of the ABA.
So Jackie Moon over Coffee Black, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Jackie Moon is a fan favorite.
I guess so.
Jackie Moon.
Does that leave me and Ray
He
left?
wrestled a bear.
I was gonna-
He wrestled a bear.
All right. What is the largest U.S. city by population that does not have an NBA franchise?
Oh, does not have
Whoa.
an NBA franchise.
Oh, shoot.
Wow.
Hold up.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
Let me put
Put a
some.
little. What are we putting in it?
Oh, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
off
All right.
air. Talk about that
All right,
off air.
Okay. But is it like that doesn't have a team right now
That doesn't have a team.
or ever?
Well, I
Right.
don't know about ever, but right now.
This is only in the United States, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got a guess, and it's purely a guess. This is tough.
I got to guess.
All right.
I got to guess.
All right. I put Seattle.
I said San Diego.
I also said Seattle.
Let's put St. Louis.
It is San Diego.
Gosh dang it.
Yeah. I was actually going to guess Seattle. That's why I asked the question of did they ever have an NBA team? But
Well, San Diego had an NBA team
Right,
at one
Yeah,
point.
they were the
Yeah.
Clippers.
Yeah.
oh,
See, I thought about it. I wasn't sure but if Seattle was
having a
bigger than
good
San
night.
Diego or
So Uncle
not.
Doug, you were the one to get there, right?
Yep.
All right, that just leaves me. So this is a 2-answer question.
Uh-oh.
In the NBA playoffs this season, so the 2021 NBA playoffs, what team averaged the most points per game and what team averaged the least points per game? I won't make you tell me how many points they average, though.
Oh my God.
Drew has a very dumbfounded look on his face. Do 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 do.
All right. All right, I'm ready.
Yeah, I got an answer.
Got it, Ray?
Yep, let's go ahead.
All right, what you all got?
I said most Bucks, least Atlanta.
I said most the Suns, least Clippers.
I said most Suns, least Nuggets.
Said most Clippers, least Lakers.
Well, we didn't have any right answers. The most was the Portland Trailblazers with 119 points a game.
Wow.
The least was the New York Knicks with 97 points a game.
I didn't think about them.
I forgot they were even in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I
same
know.
here. I only
But-
thought like 5 teams.
So you wanna hear something crazy though? The second lowest points per game team was the Los Angeles Lakers with 97.5.
Yeah, I was
points a game.
close. I wrote them down.
Yeah, you were close.
I needed multiple choice, and that's what I was thinking the whole time.
Yeah, the Bucks who won were 9th, and the Suns were 11th.
And most or least.
Well, they were going for most. So
Okay.
yeah.
See, defense still matters. There you go.
Well, yeah, because Portland's defense is like non-existent.
God awful.
Yeah.
All right. So that wraps up the trivia portion. Let's see what the standings are after this week's tallies. Ray with 17. Alex with 32. Doug and Drew with 33. And Wade with 42. So Wade's lead did not extend. It stayed the same at 9.
Just can't catch you, Wade.
Well, you know, I was thinking earlier when we were talking about how many episodes we got, and I was like, man, I got a big lead. And I'm like, we're not even halfway done.
Yeah.
I could finish last. Like,
Yeah.
Potentially.
yeah.
All right. So thank you for our listen on Bob Pettit. And as Uncle Doug mentioned earlier, please tune in next week for Elgin Baylor. So we're stacking up the old guys here. Boom, boom, boom. And we will catch you next week on Sports the NEMO Way.